Afternoon, look at that. We're into single digits. Less than 10 hours to go until the transfer window closes. And there are record moves, big money signings and surprise swap deals to be completed.
Welcome along. If you're just joining us, we are live on Twitter. We're live on our website, skysports.com. Don't forget to follow that Deadline Day live blog as well. These are the people who make it happen, the multi-platform and digital teams. You might just be able to see over my shoulder that there they are in Italy and in Germany. We're keeping very, very close contact with our Sky colleagues on the continent. Don't forget that as far as Germany's concerned, it's a 5 p.m. deadline our time. Italy is 7 p.m. Premier League and EFL is 11 p.m. Scotland is midnight. And of course, we've got a debutant here on our Deadline Day coverage. This is Jess Crichton. Jess, tell us what we've got involved in our audience, because we want them to be part of Deadline Day.
Yes, David, exactly right. We will be all across social media today. We'll have all of the tweets that are coming in, all of the Instagram posts. We'll even have some interactive polls for everyone at home to get involved with. So don't miss that. If you come back to me a little bit later, David, I'll have more for you.
All right, thank you for that, Jess. And we've had quite a few of those flash polls. Make sure that you keep across our Twitter feed at Sky Sports News. Not only that, but we're asking so many questions about those teams that are doing business today. And we've got some seasoned campaigners as well, some veterans of our Deadline Day coverage. We've got Phil Thompson. I mean that in the kindest possible sense, I promise, guys. Phil Thompson and Charlie Nicholas. Now, it looks like Phil's old club all quiet on the Western Front, but you just never know because it's Deadline Day. And of course, it's been confirmed in the last hour. Denis Suarez is joining Arsenal on loan from Barcelona. We'll be getting this man's opinion.
He thought it was Louis.
Now, we're nice and warm in the studio here, but spare a thought for our reporters who are battling the elements to bring you all of the big news of Deadline Day. Stay with us.
Oh, it's almost too hot in here, but let's start, shall we, with a club that have been hugely active throughout the window. That is Chelsea. So many players that could be on the move before the window closes. Willian, the latest to be linked with a move away from Stamford Bridge, but he's not the only player who could be leaving. So let's join our reporter who's with Chelsea for us today, and that is Cahill Solokol. Cahill, what's the very latest there at Stamford Bridge?
OK, let's start with Michy Batshuayi. We understand Chelsea have agreed a loan deal in principle for him to go out to either West Ham or Real Betis. Of course, he's a player who cost Chelsea £33 million 2.5 years ago. He's already been out on loan to Borussia Dortmund, Valencia. He's been on loan there. That hasn't worked out. But Chelsea prepared to let him go on loan now. West Ham and Real Betis want him. Also, Everton interested in signing him, but the problem is Everton have already got a player on loan from Chelsea, Kurt Zouma, so they can't take another player on loan. If he was to go to Everton, that would have to be a permanent deal. Now, a big development as well in the last few minutes, because we were told that talks had also been held with Spurs about Michy Batshuayi moving on loan to Spurs. But we are being told that that is not going to happen. Spurs have decided not to pursue signing Michy Batshuayi on loan. So that's just a little sort of addendum to the story. But the main development with Michy Batshuayi is looks like he's going to go out on loan again. It could be West Ham or Real Betis. What about Willian? What's happening with him? Well, look, so many big clubs have been trying to sign him. PSG, the latest club, they need a replacement for Neymar, but we're being told that Chelsea are insisting that he's not for sale. And also bear in mind, if PSG were to sign him, the transfer fee would be 50, 60, 70 million pounds. I don't think they could afford that because of financial fair play rules. One other quick line to bring you from Chelsea is, what about the future of Gary Cahill, the club captain who hasn't been playing? Of course, Fulham were interested in signing him, but couldn't sort out a deal for him to go there. Now, I've just had a message from another Sky Sports News reporter who's telling me that Gary Cahill has also turned down moves to Monaco and Juventus. Monaco, Juventus and Fulham have all been trying to sign him, but Gary Cahill is not going to any of those clubs. The player who looks like he's going to be leaving Chelsea again on loan is Michy Batshuayi, Real Betis or West Ham. It's up to him to decide. Talks were also held with Spurs, but he's not going to Spurs. They're not pursuing that initial interest. They were offered him, but they've decided that they're not going to be taking him on loan.
OK, Cahill, many thanks. Right, we've got some breaking news at Newcastle United, so let's go to our reporter to Bereka the news. Keith Downey, what's happened?
You've had a couple of minutes to work that one out, Pete, haven't you? Yeah, as you've already alluded to there, it's Antonio Barreca, the Italian left-back, 23-year-old Monaco player who has completed his loan move to Newcastle in the last few minutes. We caught a glimpse of him this morning, arriving to meet Rafa Benitez, having had part of his medical last night and then the rest of it this morning. That was completed fairly quickly. He signed the paperwork and signed on for a one-year loan with an option to buy in the summer. It's my understanding a £1 million loan fee was paid to Monaco, and it's a £9 million option to buy in the summer. So that is Barreca in and confirmed. Rafa Benitez getting the left back he wanted. But the main one, the big one, of course, you know, Pete, is Mikel Almiron, who we saw arrive by helicopter yesterday. £21 million, the payment Newcastle are making to Atlanta United for the Paraguay international. He's also been at the training ground this morning and is currently inside right now completing that deal. It's my understanding it's all done. It's just a little odds and ends that need to be sorted, and Newcastle should confirm that one in due course. So Barreca confirmed, Almiron to follow very soon. They were hoping to bring in a central midfielder as well, and I still think there could yet be an outside chance of that. The one they wanted was Andreas Samaras from Benfica, but the Portuguese side digging their heels, and it looks like Samaras will not be travelling here. That one is stalled, and as a result of that, it means that Isaac Hayden, who I just caught a quick word with earlier on as he left the training ground in the last half an hour, it looks as though he will be staying as a result of that. Hayden has made it clear that he wants to move south for family reasons, but it looks as though Hayden will remain. And obviously he's not delighted about the fact the move isn't happening, but he knows he's a professional and he's resigned to the fact that he will remain a Newcastle player until the end of the season. That is, of course, unless Newcastle do manage to get a midfielder in the dying embers of this transfer window. But two in so far, one of them confirmed, Almiron to follow very shortly, Pete.
So Barreca in. What about Miguel Almiron? Well, Newcastle seem to almost nearly have their man, and he is the subject of our poll. I did say we want you to get involved here on Sky Sports News. So our question today, how many Newcastle goals will Almiron score this season for Rafa Benitez's side? Do you think it will be between 0 to 5? Will it be between 6 to 10? Or will he score more than 10 goals this season, what's left of it, remaining for Newcastle and Rafa Benitez? Bearing in mind, he has very much impressed for Atlanta in the MLS. We'll give you the results in about 30 minutes. Get involved at Sky Sports News on Twitter.
Yeah, get voting, people. Right, Arsenal, they've finally announced the signing of Denis Suarez from Barcelona. So let's head to our man, Geraint Hughes, who's at the Emirates. What's the latest there, Geraint?
Yeah, this one came through about midday. It was always going to happen. In fairness to the club, they were pretty honest saying, listen, we're just getting the paperwork done. It will happen around lunchtime. It's true to their word. Officially came at midday, but Barcelona somewhat let the cat out of the bag with that one yesterday. But yeah, the 25-year-old links up with Unai Emery again. He played under him on loan at Sevilla back in 2014-15 when Emery was the coach there. In fact, they went on to win the Europa League then as well. So the two know each other. Emery is very pleased to have Denis Suarez here. He brings him attacking options. Suarez is pleased to be here as well. It gives him game time as well. He knows Unai Emery. He has a lot of respect for him as well. I think that's one of the key reasons that Suarez has swapped Spain here for London on that front. With regards to any incomings here, probably looking very unlikely now. Certainly Ivan Perisic and Yannick Carrasco, they are not going to be coming to Arsenal today on any prospective loan deals. There are going to be some outgoings, though. One which we thought would happen, all involving teenagers here at Arsenal who are highly thought of, very much part of the future, but need to get some more playing time experience. One was Eddie Nketiah. He is not leaving the club today on loan. There was talk of him going to Augsburg. That's not going to happen. But Emil Smith-Rowe, he is over in Germany having a medical at RB Leipzig about a prospective loan move there. Let's hear how this one might be progressing through the Leipzig manager, Ralf Rangnick.
I can confirm that the player is in Leipzig and that we'll carry out the medical today. Then we'll have to see if we have everything available to complete the transfer. If that is the case, and we don't have much time left because everything must be done by 6 p.m, then the player can come to us. At the moment, this is not the case, and I cannot confirm this transfer yet. If everything goes to plan, I'll say something about it tomorrow.
So they've got until 5 p.m. Our time here in the UK to get that one, so just under 4 hours to get that one done. But Emil Smith-Rowe over in Leipzig after having a medical there. So it's been a good day for Arsenal. They've got their man, Denis Suarez, confirmed as an Arsenal player on loan for the rest of the season.
All right, let's get the thoughts of our guests, Phil Thompson and Charlie Nicholas, who are here with us till 3 o'clock on this deadline day. Of course, Charlie, I've got to come to you first. Denis Suarez, tidy player, a little bit of box-to-box about him. Are you happy with that on loan till the end of the season?
Well, I'm happy with anybody at the moment, if I'm being honest, because this Arsenal transfer philosophy is an absolute joke. It really is a joke. Ever since David Dein left the building, I'm confused because we all need defenders. They're hard to get. Liverpool spends 60, 70 million quid getting one of the best that you can get. And we don't seem to identify that this new manager, after 20-odd years, Arsene Wenger, who actually got his jotters because we couldn't defend. That's why he left the building. And now this new guy comes in. We're 9th richest, I think we were 6th richest last year, and we can only get loan details. I don't care whether this manager likes this player or not. Please, Arsenal, get some defenders in.
Would you echo that, Phil? What do you think?
Echo it. I think every Arsenal fan, you don't need to be an ex-player, an ex-pundit, to actually read the situation. You've been watching this unfold, not just this season, but for the last couple of seasons. You've been watching the demise of good defending for many, many years, and it's been screaming out for it. And I don't just mean centre-backs, I mean full-backs. Yeah. I don't think it, in both sides, the right and the left back,
or even defensive midfielders,
not being quite good enough.
Have they ever adequately replaced Patrick Vieira? Here's a question.
Torreira has come in.
Takes hold.
When we are different,
Charlie, Torreira has been one of the better signings of throughout the Premier League from last summer. He's done very well, but the other areas of his jacket, El Neni, not been really good enough, and it's been proved that. So they're still short in that area to help them, but they keep on coming up with these nice sort of tricky wider midfield players, the same thing as what Charlie's alluding to, but it's staring them in the face, and it's sometimes you need to show the fans we do realise this is where our problem is defensively, and we're going to, might not exactly be the right one, but it shows your public is that we're identifying it, we're going to get some centre-backs, and we're doing that now in this window, getting somebody in. And my goodness, they need it.
We can change his style a bit, because Fabregas was a change from Vieira. We went from being physically, competitive to technically competitive. That's how they changed. And I don't mind that. I'm all for modern. I'm not a dinosaur enough to say I don't want change. But you've got to get the balance right, and Arsenal don't get the balance right. And ever since you sit there with Arsene Wenger and I lost David Dein, and now we've got a new bunch of guys on a committee that sit there and they pat themselves in the back for bringing Aubameyang. Well, I'm sorry, but we all knew he was a fabulous footballer, but he's another attacker. We all know these are good players. Have you got the ability to look at Mustafi, not good enough for the price that you're buying? We've done it too often. Find quality defenders, bring them in, and then I think the fans will give you the proper judgment.
OK. Guys, great. Many thanks for now.
Let's bring you some breaking news, and it is a man in demand today, Charlie Austin. According to Sky sources, Southampton have rejected loan proposals from 4 Premier League clubs for the striker. Now, Southampton would only deal with Charlie Austin if it was a permanent transfer. So, breaking news, Sky sources telling us Southampton have rejected loan proposals from 4 Premier League clubs for Charlie Austin.
Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star, Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor.
Bang, bang.
Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang, he shot me down. Bang, bang, I hit the ground. Bang, bang, that awful sound. Bang, bang, my baby shot me down.
We are looking for movement from the top 6 clubs in the Premier League on this deadline day. We know that Arsenal have already made their move, but what about Manchester United? Let's get some breaking news from James Cooper, who is there at Old Trafford. James, what can you tell us?
Well, the release has just popped onto my iPhone here at Manchester United, and I'm delighted to say on behalf of Manchester United that Anthony Marcial has signed a new deal that will keep him at the club until 2024. It's a new 5-year deal for the Frenchman. It's something we've been perhaps talking about over the last couple of weeks. We were told it was close. We broke that it was close and imminent, and that certainly both parties, in terms of Manchester United and Anthony Marcial, were very close to making this announcement. We thought it might be today or certainly over the next 48 hours, but Manchester United in the last few seconds announcing that Anthony Marcial, who was the most expensive teenager to be bought by anybody when he first came to the club back in 2016, is now a Manchester United player until 2024. And I think that does show you how things have changed so quickly here at Manchester United. He'd certainly fallen out of favour and grace and also form under Jose Mourinho, and I'm led to believe had Jose Mourinho remained as Manchester United manager, then Anthony Marcial might have looked for a club somewhere else and not seen his future here. I think that shows that the will is there amongst Manchester United's players to embrace this new chapter, whether that's under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or whether it's under another manager come the end of the season. But that's big news for United. Anthony Marcial signed and sealed until 2024. And just to give you a reminder of the other breaking news here at Old Trafford today, Marouane Fellaini is on his way to China at the moment. He put an Instagram post a little bit later of him at Manchester Airport, and that's the end of things as far as United are concerned. As far as Fellaini's concerned, at the age of 31, he's decided he wants pastures new. Xudang Lineng have been negotiating with Manchester United. They've got an agreement, and Fellaini has passed a medical. He's now making his way to China to agree personal terms with the Chinese Super League club. Of course, Graziano Pello plays there as well, a former Premier League player with Southampton, Italian international as well. Well, looks as though Marouane Fellaini will be his new teammate, and I think what comes now is maybe even more contract news from Manchester United. Not necessarily today, but suddenly the focus shifts from Anthony Marcial, who has that deal to 2024, to the likes of David De Gea, to the likes of Juan Mata, Antonio Valencia and Ashley Young, all of those players perhaps who might be offered new terms by Manchester United. I think the priority amongst those, no doubt about it, is David De Gea. But the big news from Old Trafford this lunchtime, Fellaini goes, but Anthony Marcial stays till 2024, a new 5-year deal for the Frenchman.
OK, thanks very much indeed, James. So we know that Arsenal have done business today. What about Tottenham? Let's go live to our reporter Paul Gilmore, who joins us from the club's training ground. Tottenham trying to offload Vincent Janssen, Paul, proving difficult. Any closer to a solution here?
Not quite, David. Good afternoon. Yes, the two central characters in this Tottenham deadline day, George Kevin Nkudu and Vincent Janssen. Nkudu having a medical at Monaco. Vincent Janssen, well, it's a little bit more up in the air, isn't it? Because Schalke have shown interest. They've been speaking to Tottenham about Janssen, but the feeling from Germany is Schalke can't afford any deal for him, whether that be with a loan with an obligation to buy or an outright permanent transfer, which is something the club would prefer. They value Janssen at £15 million. Real Betis, we've been hearing, closing in on other strikers, so that's looking increasingly unlikely unless they can revive that. And of course that could depend on all of those other deals, the domino effect really. And then there is Burnley and Cardiff have shown interest. If Cardiff do revive that, it would have to be a permanent deal, because they already have the maximum of 2 loans in Order and Nias. Away from Janssen and Nkudu, you may just see a couple of the younger academy players move out on loan from Tottenham today. Keziah Sterling, who's been on the bench for the first team of late with Harry Kane and Lucas Moura and other attacking players missing, so he's been on the bench recently. He may well move out on loan this afternoon. So that's it for Tottenham at the moment. We will of course keep you updated as the afternoon progresses.
Thank you, Paul. So Tottenham are third, Cardiff a third bottom, and we know that Neil Warnock could be busy today. Let's head to Wales. Let's speak to James Cole, who's at the club's training ground. So Paul Gilmore there mentioned Vincent Janssen. We understand there is some interest in the player, but he isn't the only player the club are looking at, are they?
No, there's definite interest, but how exactly it would work, as Paul was saying, Cardiff have used their 2 permitted loan deals with Nias and Arta, rather. So they could only bring Janssen in on a permanent deal. Tottenham want £15 million, so it's going to take a bit of it's going to take a bit of money, isn't it, to get him here? It's also going to take a lot of negotiating. Neil Warnock is going to be a very busy man today. Cardiff are also being linked with Charlie Austin as well at Southampton. I don't know exactly how strong that link is yet. We haven't managed to stand that up, but they're continuing to be linked with strikers, despite the fact on Monday Neil Warnock said he wasn't looking to bring in a striker after the Emiliano Sala tragedy. So striker is one area Cardiff are being linked with and probably will want to strengthen. The other one is a right back. That was priority number 1. Now Leandro Bacuna from Reading is on his way here. He's due for a medical this afternoon. He's a midfielder. He can play anywhere in midfield, but he can also cover right back. So you'd imagine his versatility is what's attracted Cardiff to him. If he passes his medical, he'll complete a deal worth £3 million. And I'm told to expect at least 2 deals today, possibly more. So Cardiff are very busy. They need reinforcements if they're to stay in the Premier League.
Thank you, James. So Cardiff, as I mentioned, third bottom, but only just outside the relegation zone are Burnley. They cannot rest easy. They could be doing business today. Could Peter Crouch be heading back to the Premier League in a swap deal with a Stoke player? He may well head to Turf Moor. Alan Myers joins us from Burnley's training ground with the latest developments. What can you tell us, Alan?
Yes, the latest is that we're waiting for Peter Crouch to arrive here. We've come up from Turf Moor over to the training ground at Gorthorpe and expecting to try and see Peter Crouch coming here to do that deal. He's Sam Vokes, it is, who's going the other way in a deal which we believe around £7 to £10 million, somewhere in between there for the whole deal. But it is quite a shock deal to see the 38-year-old Peter Crouch coming. One of the other reasons we're here at the training ground was to speak to midfielder Jeff Hendrick, and he's talking to us about Peter Crouch on the basis, of course, that it hasn't happened yet, but this is what he had to say about the attributes of Peter Crouch.
If he comes in, and I'm sure the lads will welcome him, as we do with everybody, so we'll have to wait and see.
But you get your crossing skills toned up.
Yeah, he's a big lad, a big target to hit, so you know, you look down through the years, the goals he scored, with his head, but not only that, he's obviously got a good first touch. He's a clever player. He's been around the block, so you know, if it happens, it'll be great.
Well, there we go. So that's Jeff Hendrick waiting. Everybody's waiting to see Peter Crouch here. Che Adams is another one that's being mentioned, although we believe they've had a second bid turned down by Birmingham on that one. But we're waiting here as well to hear from Sean Dyche, the Burnley manager. So we'll know a little bit more, I think, a little bit later on this afternoon. Say thank you to the security guard for loaning me his tie, because I left it at Turf Moor in the rush. And as a former Blackburn director, I think I might have just committed a crime.
Alan, thank you very much indeed. So let's just take you through the done deals so far on this deadline day. So we've got Denis Suarez to Arsenal from Barcelona on loan until the end of the season. What happens then? Who knows? Don't forget also, Johnny Otto has sealed an £18 million move from Atletico Madrid to Wolves. Antonio Barreca from Monaco to Newcastle as well on loan. But could there be more in at St James's Park? Meanwhile, PSG want Everton midfielder Idrissa Gueye. Will they get their man before tonight's deadline? We will bring you up to date on all of that and the transfer news in Scotland very, very shortly indeed, with just a shade over 9.5 hours to go.
Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor.
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Oh, shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down. I shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor.
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Oh, shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down.
Yeah, welcome back. Guess what day it is? Yes, it is deadline day and done deals are already coming through all of the time. Denis Suarez is an Arsenal player. He's joined on loan from Barcelona.
Newcastle could be about to break their club transfer record to sign Miguel Almiron from Atlanta United. He and fullback Antonio Barreca are at the training ground to finalise their deals.
While Marouane Fellaini is closing in on a move away from Manchester United. He's flying to China ahead of joining Shandong Luneng.
And breaking news in the last few minutes, Anthony Marcial has signed a new contract at Manchester United until 2024.
Of course, it's not just deadline day here in England in the Premier League. It's also closing right across Europe, the window. And in Italy, it closed at 7 o'clock tonight. So let's find out what's happening with our colleagues at Sky in Italy, shall we? Valentina Fass is there waiting for us. Valentina, lovely to see you as always. You're going to be heading to the Hotel Da Vinci later today, where all the deals are going to be done. Tell us more over here about how that all works in Italy.
Yes, hi, Pete. In Italy, it's very different. You do the deals in all the different clubs. It's a bit easier here because everybody goes to one hotel. For many years, I think for 20 years, it was the same hotel in Milan. In the past few years, it's been changing a bit. And today, we're going to a new hotel. So I'll be discovering it together with you. What happens in this hotel is basically all the contracts have to be deposited there for all the teams, Serie A teams and Serie B teams, also second division. Of course, now with technology, a lot of them are sent via email, but they have to be signed and arrive to the hotel by 7 p.m. UK time. Some of them are literally signed there on the moment, and we had scenes in the past of contracts being thrown just as the doors were shutting where they had to be given. So I'll be showing you more and explaining a bit more about that later.
OK, look forward to it. Some of our reporters who are standing in the cold will be very envious of that situation in Italy, Valentina. Now, just about Arsenal, they've already signed Suarez from Barcelona, but we know that they had a big interest in Ivan Perisic of Inter Milan. That one's still alive, do you think?
Well, there was a big interest, but the CEO, Beppe Marotta, said that there was no concrete offer. And for the moment, Arsenal was probably offering just a loan, and they wanted a permanent deal. They wanted an adequate amount. And since that was not the case, for the moment, our feeling, and then, you know, in transfer market, anything can happen, but for the moment, our feeling is that there is not going to be this move, at least not in this transfer market window, not at these conditions.
Just one final one from me before we let you go, Valentina. We know you're as busy over there as we are here, but what other deals potentially could we be looking at involving Italy and England today?
Well, as you know, Piazzone arrived last night. We got a glimpse of him in a Milan restaurant. We know that this morning he's been having medicals all morning. We don't have an update on that, but no news is good news, as you say. So we just believe that it's going ahead, and by the end of the day, we'll probably be able to report that he's signed with Chievo Verona, which is one of the two teams of Verona. Other news here in Italy, well, there were two Coppa Italia matches yesterday, which gave two unbelievable results. One was AS Roma losing 7-1 to Fiorentina, and for a moment we thought that the manager might get sacked or that he might quit himself. For the moment, it looks likely he's still going to be the manager for the next match. He has support from the board, but the situation is not very clear there. And the other matter is linked to Juventus. As you know, Chiellini is a very important player for the team. Last night, when Juventus lost and also went out of the Coppa Italia, losing 3-0 to Atalanta, his right calf hurt. We are waiting to understand how long he's going to be out for. It looks like it's going to be probably for 2 weeks. So they were looking at maybe getting a defender. This maybe might not happen because there's not probably enough time, and he's going to be recovering in just 2 weeks. But we'll keep an eye out on what Juventus is doing today.
Valentina, brilliant as always. Many thanks for that. That's the update from Italy.
What about a player that could be heading from the Premier League to the continent? The man we're talking about is Everton midfielder Idrissa Gueye. We know that PSG are interested, and they're not the only interested party by any means. The man who knows all about this story, has been across it all window, is Fraser Dainton. He joins us from Everton's training ground. What's the latest where you are, Fraser?
Yeah, Everton very much digging their heels in, according to Sky sources, telling us that Idrissa Gueye will be going nowhere in this transfer window, despite specific interest from Paris Saint-Germain, who we are told had a bid rejected, and the player apparently telling the club that he does want to leave. But as I say, they've consistently said, Everton and the manager Marco Silva himself, throughout this window so far, that they do not want Idrissa Gueye to go. And as I say, Sky sources telling me that is still very much the case. I'm also told that James McCarthy won't be leaving in this transfer window either. So that then turns the spotlight on possible incomings, and Michy Batshuayi has been very much mentioned as a possible target for Everton, although the latest intel tells us that Chelsea, who have the striker on loan at Valencia at the moment, have loan deals in principle agreed with both Real Betis and West Ham. So we're keeping an eye open to see whether there will be any developments on that one as far as Everton are concerned.
OK, Fraser, thank you very much indeed. So, less than 9.5 hours to go. Of course, we're interested in the rumour, the conjecture. We're trying to sort out the fact from the fiction for you, but we're also interested in the done deals. Who's definitely done business today? Well, one club is Wolves. So, Rob Dorset is waiting to speak to us at Molineux. And, Rob, Wolves have turned a fan favourite into a permanent signing today, haven't they?
They have, David. It's a big deal. We shouldn't forget it. Just because Johnny Otto on loan here for the whole of this season, and the Wolves fans love him. Wolves have spent £18 million today to make that a permanent transfer. He's signed a contract until 2023, and that £18 million equals the club transfer record. So, yeah, a big deal done by Wolves this morning. They also want to try and bring in a striker. They're very keen to do that, having missed out on Tammy Abraham, who decided he was staying at Aston Villa. They had been in negotiations with Ruben Kazan for Sada Azmoun, the Iranian international. They thought they got a done deal, really. £1.7 million loan fee agreed, £11.5 million substantive transfer fee agreed in the summer. But crucially, Kazan wanted that to be an obligation to pay that much money. Wolves thought, well, hang on, we're taking a bit of a risk here, taking a player who's never played in the Premier League and putting him in, whatever we think his qualities. No, we're not going to have an obligation to buy him in the summer. We want it as an option to buy. The deal has fallen down, I understand, because of that crucial clause. One potential outgoing for Wolves as well, Leo Bonatini. He's talking to Forest right now about a possible loan deal. We think that one may well go through before the 11 o'clock deadline. So Leo Bonatini, who's had a struggle making first-team appearances here under Nuno Espirito Santo this season, could be on his way to the City Ground with Martin O'Neill.
Well, and let's just take you to the Championship. We've already had one proven striker who's made a move today, and another could well be on the way. We'll analyse Scott Hogan's switch to Sheffield United shortly, but first, we have to take a look at this Sam Vokes move, potentially from Burnley to Stoke, with Peter Crouch going the other way. George and Ali are with us from the EFL Focus podcast, Not the Top 20. Great to have you with us, guys. I really want to get into this Sam Vokes transfer, because Stoke say they're looking for someone that can score them goals. Vokes has scored, what is it, 7 in the last 2 seasons. What kind of player is he?
Well, he scored 35 goals in his last 2 seasons in the Championship, so he's got a great record there. He's a target man. I think Nathan Jones's Stoke will create a lot of chances when he gets his way at the club as well. So 29 years old, 9 million seems a lot, but he's a proven scorer at that level, and I think he's a really good signing.
Do you expect him to be someone that just walks into this Stoke side, considering he's got all this kind of Championship experience and Premier League experience, in fact?
Yeah, I see him going straight into the side. He's played a fair bit of Premier League football this season, and Stoke, going forward this season, they haven't really found the right man. Afobe seems to be lacking in confidence. Berahino inconsistent so far this season, so I expect Vokes to go straight in and be a big part of the next part of the season.
So could this be the missing part of the puzzle for Stoke? They're looking for someone to score goals this season, quite desperately.
Yeah, and he can play as a lone striker, he can play in a 2 as well, so he could be the missing piece. It's probably not going to be enough to get them near the playoffs this season, but going into next season when Jones has his own team, I think he'll be the focal point of their attack.
Now, you guys, obviously, you're kind of well involved with the EFL. How much do you know about Sam Stokes? What is he like off the pitch? Is he the kind of player that will lead the team in the dressing room?
Well, what we do know is that Sean Dyche, the Burnley manager, he puts a huge onus on character, on personality. So for him to have been such a big part of this Burnley side, I should say, over the last few years, that makes me think that he is going to be a strong personality, and that's what Nathan Jones is. That's what he's looking for too. So I think all in all, Stoke fans can feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, you mentioned Sean Dyche there. A good bit of business for him, a shrewd businessman. They built, they paid for Vokes back in 2012 for only £300,000, and now they're selling him on for a good few million. It's a very good piece of business, isn't it?
I think he's a much better player now as well. I mean, he'd never really scored that many goals before going to Burnley. He's made his name there, 2 promotions as well. So in terms of the personality and the player he is, I think it's a perfect fit.
And let's talk about then Scott Hogan, going from Villa, who he hasn't really played very well, and now going to Sheffield United. This could be the move to kind of get his career back on track, couldn't it?
Well, Chris Wilder loves signing strikers in January, and he's done it again here. I always think he guarantees you goals. It's been a surprise not to see him maybe come into the team a bit more under Dean Smith, his old manager at Brentford. But if he's better than Billy Sharp, I'm not entirely sure. Similar players, but certainly a good player for Sheffield United to have in their ranks.
Yeah, he did really well for Brentford. We see here, he's managed 21 goals in his 33 appearances. then came to Villa and managed just 7 in 20, and he's hardly played this season. What do you think went wrong for him at Villa?
One of the more peculiar January transfer window signings of the last few years, at a time where Villa's transfer recruitment policy seemed a little slapdash. They paid so much for him and never, it seemed to us, really backed him to be a true goal-scoring threat. He's always been second, third choice, and I think that's really sort of set him back for a few years, but he's only 26. He's electric, he's sharp, he's a good finisher. For Sheffield United, again, you can't really argue with this. It's a loan signing, so they're not spending big. There's really no risk here. And if he scores 5-6 goals, fires them up, you'll be laughing.
So Sheffield United fans, a lot to look forward to. Scott Hogan and that deal already gone through. Possibly Sam Vokes as well. We'll wait and see. George and Ali, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks all. Like, listen, Scottish clubs, they get an extra hour after the English window closes at 11. Scottish clubs get until midnight, so a busy day for Luke Shanley, who's up in Glasgow for us. Luke, nice to see you. Plenty going on in Scotland. I hear of an Aberdeen defender potentially moving to England. What's the latest?
I don't know if we get any overtime for the extra hour, but yes, in terms of Scott McKenna, he has been attracting the attentions of Stoke, who have placed a bid in the region of £5 million, we believe, but that has been rejected, Sky sources are telling us. And McKenna, who is a Scotland international now, certainly is a man with huge potential. He's a standout performer for Aberdeen, and he is a man who is attracting attention. He attracted the attentions of Aston Villa in the summer, but Aberdeen rebuffed their approaches then as well.
What about elsewhere, Luke? Rangers, Celtic and others in the title race?
Yeah, Rangers, Celtic and Kilmarnock as well. And in terms of Rangers and Kilmarnock, Jordan Jones, he is a man that will be leaving Kilmarnock in the summer and joining Rangers after signing that pre-contract. I was speaking with Steve Clarke today at his media conference. I asked him if there was any worry that Jordan Jones may leave earlier to go to Rangers, i.e. with a bid today, but he says no, Jordan Jones definitely staying for the rest of the season. In terms of Celtic, they are a team that are looking for a right-back. They've been linked with a right-back from Borussia Dortmund, Jeremy Toyan, and also Lewis Morgan. He is a man who's left Celtic Park, joining Sunderland on loan. A couple of other deals done today. David McMillan has joined Hamilton on loan from St Johnstone, and Ryan McGowan, former Dundee United player, has joined Dundee on loan, along with Sunderland's Ethan Robson.
OK, let's talk to Charlie Nick about, well, Celtic in particular. I mean, they're facing the fiercest challenge to their dominance for some time with this title race, aren't they? So do they need to strengthen to try and keep hold of their...
Again, it's a bit like Arsenal. I mean, I know it sounds it's so easy that you have to say it's defensive structure again. Well, Brendan Rodgers has been controlling this successful period for 2.5 years, 3 years nearly. And Celtic need defenders, and Benkovic is on loan from Leicester at the moment. They're talking 5-6 weeks. Boyata's already out. So they're taking one big risk. We're not getting into that market to improve that. I know they're chasing, as Luke said, they're a right back to step in for Lustig, who a lot of the time is injured also. So they're taking a big gamble at this moment in time. Celtic have a fortunate schedule. And Aberdeen and Rangers play, I think it's next midweek again. So the challenge is there for them, but Rangers have done their business. I don't expect any business from Rangers. But Celtic, I would like another defender brought in.
What do you make of some of that business for Rangers, particularly the bigger names? Jermaine Defoe from Bournemouth, Stephen Davis as well from Southampton, who's previously been at Ibrox.
Yeah, well, what Stevie Gerrard has done is bring in a competitive edge to them. He's asked him a question, Morales. The extra hour that Luke was talking about, they don't really need it, but the pressure is who they don't sell. Rangers don't want to sell Morales, and that's why they brought in Defoe just in case, but they want to keep Morales. And Celtic are the same. I mean, Nicham's been linked with Porto. That might drift away. They can't afford to let anybody come in. They lost Dembele in the last day of the transfer window last time. So they're in danger that they could lose someone. So that's the danger for Scotland, is who you lose, not so much who you bring in.
Phil, on a general one on Scotland, I mean, for so long dominated by Celtic, but now all of a sudden Rangers back up there, Kilmarnock up there as well, and Aberdeen. I mean, it's like we've got a really competitive Scottish league again.
And it's great for us down here in England. We just think it's always just a two-horse race and that's it, but it's not. You're seeing it happening in front. You're going, my goodness, this is now competitive edge. We always wind Charlie up, you know, that Celtic were always lifting the championship by December. But now we're seeing a proper race. Now, I think it's the edge that I say that Stevie Gerrard has brought in. Aberdeen have been creeping up there. Kilmarnock now, you see it. And you're like that, you're going, my goodness, Steven Gerrard bringing in Defoe, bringing in Stephen. Would they have gone there or sensed that was going to be sort of a good move for them?
You know,
Absolutely.
Gerrard, are you surprised by how well he's taken the management?
No, I'm not. But when he did take it, I thought it was a big risk for Stevie. I have to say that. But I said, if he does go, they're going to have to back him. And Charlie said that because you could see in last season's, when you've seen Celtic and Rangers, they were so far behind player-wise. It was a big sort of turnaround, and he's done that. With a lot of loans, he's had to do it. But you see people are now wanting to go to Rangers again. They want to play for Rangers. They want to go up there for the challenge. So he's turned it round. And as I say, Defoe and Davis going up there, I think it's like the Graham Souness era when you see the English talent. OK, maybe they're all 30-somethings going there, but at least he's being the attraction.
He's got me worried. As a Celtic fan, I'm worried. I still think Celtic will win the title, but he's going to close Celtic down, and he's definitely closed that gap big style.
Charlie Nicholas is worried. That'll be music to the Rangers fans' ears, I think, Charlie. Thanks very much, guys.
OK. Always a hive of activity on deadline day. We'll go to Leicester live very shortly. Will they get their deal from Monaco's Yuri Tielemans over the line before the window shuts? Stay with us to find out.
Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor.
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Oh, shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down. Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor.
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Oh, shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down.
Marcial has signed a new 5-year deal at Manchester United. OK, let's get the thoughts of Charlie and Phil on this, because, I mean, they haven't made a signing, but it might feel a little bit like a signing. He seems like a man who's been reborn under Ole Gunnar.
Well, I think it's a feel-good factor, isn't it, you know, under Solskjaer. And with Fergie having a little bit of influence back in there, we might feeling, as Tom and I have identified the last couple of weeks, was a great reintroduction. But I think that just the feeling that this guy was one of the big prizes when he was young, and it's taken him time to adjust. But we know the assets are there. He can get goals, he's got pace, he's got strength. Assets are brilliant. Used in the right direction, the right area. It's an absolutely fabulous new contract for him.
I mean, Jose was wanting to get rid of this guy. He was wanting him out the door. Yeah. And the lad was thinking about leaving, but the club had believed in him. And that's a little bit of a standoff, wasn't it, last summer? And the club was saying, no, we've got to believe in this. He's still extremely young. He's got the best years ahead. They believed in him. And I think maybe a little bit of a fallout. That was part of it. But then you look at Fellaini, who got given a new contract last summer by Jose. You're seeing how all that's changing around with Manchester United. I think this could be one of the signings of the transfer week, because not a lot happening. But him signing for Manchester United, I know we've all been waiting for this for the last couple of weeks, Anthony Marcial signing. But my goodness, it's a turnaround in fortunes. Would he have been looking to pastures new, wanting to get away from there? But as the winds have gone on, the feel-good factor has come back under Solskjaer, and Fellaini going out the door, being a good, honest pro. But he was always, it was that part of the Mourinho era of get him on. If it's not going right, get him on the last 20 minutes. If we are winning 1-0, we're still going to get him on to keep it, and he'll defend in the box. And I think it's nice that you've got this attacking talent and you've allowed Fellaini to go. And I think it's a massive turnaround.
How crucial is this next phase of his career, through to 2024, if he sees out this contract, in terms of just how he will upskill and how he will mature? What do you think?
It's hard to tell with a modern-day player now, because they're so inconsistent, and that's why he might be out the door or he's got a new contract. You know, we say about all the assets that they have, but will they use them the right way? Manchester United have not made the decision on a manager yet, so he's a bit uncertain of what comes next, but he's committed to the club. The only difference, I think, what it does say to Marcial and to Manchester United fans in particular is no longer talking about 4 or 5 going out the door and a big rebuild. We're talking about trying to keep 4 or 5, and it's a smaller rebuild. Whoever this manager's going to get the job come the summer.
The next one's Cahill, isn't it? If that one was to happen, oh my goodness! And us people who support other clubs, you're going, oh, do you have to? Because he is that good. He is the best in the world, I think. And if he was to put pen to paper, what an uplift! And because he was another one, you could see him thinking, Jose's staying, I'm going. And I think that is the turnaround. And if he is the next one, maybe Manchester United being clever, they don't want to put the two of them together and say, woof, there we go, everybody. But in maybe a week's time, 2 weeks' time, another big boost for the football club.
All right, thank you very much, Steve, for the moment, guys. Let's switch focus, shall we, away from Manchester United and to Southampton. Let's head to Jane Dougal, who is at St Mary's for a very latest transfer update. What can you tell us, Jane?
Well, so we now know that Shea Adams will not be coming to Southampton. There was a possibility that there could have been a loan deal, although that was what Southampton were looking for. Birmingham were not looking for that at all. They were adamant that they did not want to sell Shea Adams, and I had been told a little earlier today that it looked as though the deal was unlikely to go through. Well, then just a little later on, Sky sources confirmed that Birmingham City were adamant that they were not going to sell Shea Adams. He's scored 14 goals for them already this season. Why would Gary Monk want to let him go? But aside from that, there's also a transfer embargo, which would mean that they would be unable to replace him if they were to sell him. The EFL would not allow them to do that. Now, I've been speaking to Ralph Hasenhüttl ahead of this weekend's match against Burnley. I did ask him about Shea Adams, and at the time we didn't have that confirmation from Birmingham City, and Ralph Hasenhüttl said that he didn't want to speak about individual players. We now know, though, that Shea Adams will not be coming here. I asked him if all the business for this transfer window was done for him, and he said no, it wasn't. He said that he did have a few other options.
No, not yet. Mainly on the last day, there are always a few options. They suddenly plop up and show us that it's maybe a chance to get an interesting player. So we are still busy, and the last day is a day where everyone stops pokering, stops with the poker, and then the cards came on the table, and then you it's not about wasting time then, and it can happen that we do something today.
Well, I also asked Hassan Huzel about Charlie Adams because he has generated some interest from other Premier League teams. In fact, Sky sources are telling us that 4 different Premier League clubs have made loan bids for him, all turned down by Southampton. Southampton would want a permanent deal, if at all. Hassan Huzel said that he was happy with the size of his squad right now, that Austin didn't need to leave. He wouldn't confirm, however, if he was definitely staying or not. We'll keep you updated on that and if there are any movement, any other further movements from the club.
OK, thanks, Jane. Well, plenty reaching us all the time. Are Newcastle United about to announce a new record?